I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for subscribing. It does help get the videos out to more people and get the correct information out, so thank you for being part of this weather community. All right, I want to show you where this spin near the Bahamas is going to go, how strong it could get. We're going to go step by step in this video, and then look at this blob, as we've been talking about for days. In the Atlantic, these tropical waves have been hanging together. So for us in the Eastern Caribbean, additional rain's going to move in. We'll cover that and a lot more action as well back toward the Eastern Pacific. But this blob here, I've been watching overnight and this morning. I'm not seeing signs of development, but what it is, it's a sign that the hurricane season is going to get more active, as we well know. But this here, while I'm not seeing development, it is going to bring some additional rain to Barbados all the way south through Trinidad. So we'll go through the forecast, some of the rain totals on that and what I'm seeing. So we'll see additional rain. It is a tropical wave, and I will monitor for any signs of development. Just right now, not seeing it trying to spin up necessarily, but tracking it for us, no doubt. And then we get up here. There's a broad spin sitting over Florida and the northern Bahamas. Here's this front leaving this leftover moisture. This is the area that looks like it will be trying to develop into a tropical depression, or if it gets a little bit stronger, it would be Tropical Storm Chantal. So let's cover that first. I like to cover first where I do see some development, because I want to give you the heads up on this channel. That's why I do this channel, for safety. So again, appreciate your patience. All right, let's get a look at this area here. The next few days, the models showing some development. They've all been hinting at development over the last week or so. I mentioned this spot about a week and a half ago. So the American model is showing this becoming about a tropical storm, same thing as the Icon German model, and the European model showing this becoming about a tropical depression. Canadian model's not showing any storm at this point, but that's because it has it kind of working its way over land. So I do expect some development, potentially into a low-end tropical storm with this area. At the least, kind of some sloppy conditions with this, right? Some heavier rain in spots. So where will this area go as it tries to develop over the next couple of days? Now, the Canadian model has us kind of just sliding into Georgia and South Carolina as a rainmaker, and with it, not developing because it's going to be interacting with land. But with that said, more of the models and what I'm seeing in the environment has us kind of riding up the coast just offshore of South Carolina, very close to North Carolina, and then kind of splitting Bermuda and the Carolinas. This is a more likely path. Most of the models are showing that, and that's what I've been seeing the last few days. Several days ago, I showed you the Icon model. I thought that had a good handle on this, and it seems to be, based on what I was seeing in the environment. So everything's staying on track. Now, with that said, a lot of folks, do I need to prepare for a hurricane or anything like that? I'm not seeing that. But anywhere across the Carolinas down through the Georgia coast, it's good to be in monitor mode. What does that mean? Well, we need to keep an eye out, spread the information about this, but not that anything impending is going to be moving in, or anything definitely sliding our way in a big way where we would need to take action. So it's monitor mode. A tropical storm could develop in this area. Even if it doesn't develop into a tropical storm, we'll get some of those rain bands that will try to work in. Sloppier weather, as I mentioned, especially North Carolina south, even near the Georgia coastline, down through parts of Florida and the northern Bahamas. Could see some coastal flooding. If this does develop into a tropical storm, that could slide in some coastal flooding, especially back through the Outer Banks. So again, monitor mode. We're just watching it together at this point. Now, let me show you this, and then I want to show you the European model, and I want to show you the wind shear and how that is very important with this system. So here we are across the northern Bahamas. Heaviest rain should be north of Freeport and New Providence, but we will get clipped by some of this. This is by tomorrow, and you see the spin sitting right through here. Now, the Canadian model just simply wants to take this area and drive it back toward Georgia or South Carolina as a rainmaker, but most of the modeling and everything I'm seeing in the environment does just kind of bring this up toward the coast. Heaviest weather would actually be offshore. It would be sitting over the water. You see here, this is by Saturday. Most of the heavier weather offshore, of course, that would give us some additional rain for some, no doubt, but heaviest stuff sitting over the water, but trying to develop Saturday into Sunday. Now, we'll have a small window to develop because the wind shear is actually going to be high, which I'll show you again in a moment. But by Sunday, this may try to work its way into North Carolina or just offshore, and then by the time we get into early next week, it shows some of this energy actually trying to pull up toward the northeast U.S., maybe some leftover spin somewhere pushing near Bermuda, but just kind of disorganized at that point. So, most likely scenario, some system tries to develop into a tropical depression, maybe tropical storm, and gets very close to North Carolina. Now, here's the European model showing the same thing. And again, the icon model that I showed you days and days ago, that is what these are now showing. So that model was more right based on what I was seeing in the environment. But this here is the European model showing this spin. And here's the area coming into the Eastern Caribbean for us, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're going to have a better chance of rain, Grenada, with that area moving in. Now, this is by tomorrow, so this is by Friday. You see some sort of circulation right in through here, extreme northern Bahamas. Much of the Bahamas, we're in great shape. Northern Bahamas, better chance of rain back through Florida. The front itself leaves. There's a little spin out here. I'll keep an eye on this just to the south of Bermuda. And then watching this tropical wave moving into the Eastern Caribbean. Still not seeing development out of it, but you know I'm watching that. And then as we go forward into Saturday, this here is Saturday, just kind of a broad spin, a sloppy rainmaker. And that's what I was mentioning. If it gets a name or doesn't get a name, as it stands now, it would be kind of the same issues with getting some of that onshore flow, some heavier rain, parts of the Carolinas, increased rain across the coastal sections of the southeast U.S. And then the European model, just like the American model, almost exactly the same, has this on Sunday working its way near the Outer Banks of North Carolina as a rainmaker, then up through Delmarva with some additional rain. Could be a tropical storm, maybe not, kind of right on the edge of that, but we'll see some tropical-like weather just skirting the coast, and then after that, that spin just kind of works its way up toward the north further as we work our way into our Monday time frame. So with that said, let me show you the winds, then I want to show you the wind shear, and then we need to get to that blob that's approaching the Caribbean. Now here with this map, I try to find a little bit of a circulation, and you can see by the time we get into tomorrow, there's kind of that spin here. It's not really a tight spin. What I mean by that, it's a broad spin. I'm not seeing it rapidly intensifying into something, but just off the coast of Jacksonville, there should be some sort of spin trying to develop. Very warm water here, which I'll show you in a minute. I just updated some of those water temps. I'll show you that. But you can see here, by the time we work our way into Saturday, we'll see that onshore flow. This is Saturday morning, kind of a spin somewhere right in here that would be off the coast of Sea Island, Georgia, maybe off the coast of Savannah at that point, that spin offshore. And some gusty winds. We'll have some winds mainly over the open waters that could gust to about 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour. And then as we work our way into Sunday, this is based on the American model, and you see just a broad spin, not necessarily showing anything crazy. And you know, if anything were to intensify quicker than what I'm seeing now, I'll let you know. But as we work our way into Sunday, kind of a broad spin, nothing super crazy with the winds, gusty winds along the coast, but some sort of a center of this sitting over here by the time we get into Monday, just skirting the Outer Banks. Heavier weather, heavier winds would be sitting just off of the coastline. Now this map I know is crazy, but this is something I really look at a lot behind the scenes, is the wind shear. Where you're seeing these brighter reds, that's good during the hurricane season. That is high wind shear. That means above our heads, we have winds coming across that knock off the thunderstorm tops or knock off developing areas of rain and storms. That's good. It prevents things from trying to organize. So this here is by Saturday. The spin would be sitting right about here. Here are the Bahamas. Spin sitting right about here. Here's South Carolina, North Carolina. But to the north, as this lifts to the north, it runs into high wind shear, and that's a good thing, which may prevent development. But that's why I mentioned a small window for this to develop into Tropical Storm Chantal. Now here's the European model, just kind of a different look at that, showing the darker greens, 50 to 60% chance of this developing into a named system. And it's kind of hinting there's not going to be any development in the Atlantic, at least over the next few days, but it is hinting at more stuff out there. That's just telling me those tropical waves are going to be on the stronger side, like we have just off toward the east of Barbados and Trinidad already for today. Now watching the water temperatures in this area, the Gulf Stream, very warm water temperatures, about 29 degrees Celsius, 84, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That acts like fuel for these things, but it's not just about the water temps. Water temperatures may strengthen this into Tropical Storm Chantal, but then it does run into the wind shear. So it's not just what's at the surface, it's also what's going on above our heads. With that said, some of this water out here running well above average. These are the water temperatures versus average. So it is actually going to run into a really warm area, but it'll be a battle of the warm water temperatures versus the wind shear to see if it does develop. Now I mentioned that big blob. The models haven't done a good job seeing this. That's why I'm always watching this. That blob has been hanging together. So I've upped the rain chances for us in the southeastern Caribbean, which we're going to get into more. Spotty showers and storms, Jamaica, over toward Cuba, even back toward the DR, a couple in Haiti possible, still the heavier rain in parts of Costa Rica. This is by tomorrow. Now, that big tropical blob moves in. I'll monitor for development. Most of the models, like this one, not seeing development, but with that tropical wave moving in, we'll be watching out for some additional rain in the southeastern Caribbean. And then back here, we're going to look for more development back into the eastern Pacific, where it has been so busy, where it looks like Gil will be trying to develop. This here is by Saturday, and you see some of the spotty showers. St. Lucia will be possible on Saturday, but as that tropical blob moves in, it's a tropical wave, so it will increase some of the thunderstorm chances. Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and the DR by this weekend. Even a couple showers for the ABC Islands, and then watching over here on the eastern Pacific side for additional development. And you see as we work our way into Sunday, spotty showers and storms developing, and as these tropical waves move in, they'll increase that chance of rain again for Central America, but new tropical waves back toward the east. We need to watch those as we go forward. We're getting deeper into the hurricane season, deeper into July. We'll watch out for some more development. We know there's going to be development at some point, so I'll keep you covered here, let you know where things are going to go. Severe weather threat. I want to mention this. This is the top end of the front that's leaving the rain down there. New Brunswick, for example, back through New England. Even an isolated tornado risk possible for today. Some of the rain over toward Newfoundland. An additional rain, keeping an eye on the Houston area. Watch over the next few days. Some of the additional rain will be around. What's left of Flossie has fallen apart, so that is said and done. There's the front Atlantic region of Canada, even over toward Maine as we work our way into tomorrow, leaving that moisture, but still some of that rain over toward parts of Texas. So we'll start to see that stacking up, some leftover rain, and then watching out for some new showers and storms coming out of the west coast of the U.S. and Canada, working across toward the Great Lakes. This is the area that is going to lift to the north. Here comes a front. As I mentioned, it's always amazing how the weather's tied together. As this front dives in, it's going to help to lift this area up to the north. That's why it's going to be sliding that way. Look at the seas building. They'll be building in through here as we get off toward the southeast coast of the U.S. Choppy as we get our way back through the Caribbean at times. And with that new tropical area, just that tropical wave that I'm watching, we'll see some of the Atlantic passageways will be on the elevated side. And of course, on the elevated side, on the eastern Pacific, as we'll start to get some development of another named system or two on the eastern Pacific side. This is through Saturday, and you see the elevated seas near South Carolina, near Georgia, mainly just north of the Bahamas, as that spin does try to develop. So this here is on Saturday, and then you see the elevated seas as we work our way Sunday into Monday as we get into next week, with this area lifting up to the north and watching that chop south of Jamaica as we work our way into next week in the seas. So as far as the rain goes, if the center of this area, or kind of center, stays offshore, that would keep most of the rain offshore, but the possibility of some higher totals still possible of about 3 to 4 inches of some additional rain, parts of Florida, northern Bahamas. This here will be the spotty thunderstorms. Just depends on if we get one in Jamaica, Cuba, for example. If we get one, a quick 50 millimeters of rain would be possible. Hit or miss over toward Puerto Rico, U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Not as much Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda. It's been a little quieter for us, St. Martin, over toward the northeastern Caribbean. But this here, with that rain working in, I showed you that area sliding into Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. We're looking at some spots that could get over 50 millimeters of rain, right? As this moves in today and tomorrow, giving you that heads up, we could see some isolated flooding, watching out for some additional rain in parts of Guyana and Suriname, but interior Venezuela again, and even parts of interior Colombia, possibility of flooding. You get over toward Costa Rica, Panama, we could see an additional 150 millimeters of rain, or 6 inches of rain over the next few days. Not as much Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua still, especially southern zones, that chance of some of that rain that will be around. And here's that flow that just kind of feeds in from Mexico back toward parts of Texas, even Arizona and New Mexico. You see some of that additional rain we'll keep an eye on in parts of Texas, and of course monitoring the southeast coast of the U.S. So an isolated shower storm for us in Jamaica today. I'll be watching your comments. Cayman Islands, we're looking at only a 20% chance, but there's the rain chance increasing later today and again tomorrow. Trinidad Trinidad and Tobago, monitoring that tropical wave that's about to move in. You see that rain chance increases today and tomorrow in Barbados, giving you the heads up. That increased chance of rain, a 60% chance for us tomorrow in St. Lucia, a 60% chance in Grenada. And look at that tomorrow with that tropical wave moving in, a 70% chance of rain and storms, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a 60% chance as well in Martinique. We get to the north. Spotty showers and storms possible in Dominica. Isolated shower possible in Guadeloupe. We swing to the north further. This is where This is where it is a little quieter. Rain chance only 20%. Antigua, Barbuda. Limited today. St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat may catch a couple showers tomorrow. Very isolated Anguilla and St. Bart's, and a 20 to 30% chance. The next few days, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Isolated thunderstorms, though, will be possible across Puerto Rico. We may get 1 or 2 U.S. and British Virgin Islands with a few spotty showers. Rain chance about 50% in the Bahamas, leaving it at that because it is split. Of course, extreme northern Bahamas, that's where we're watching out for some development. Turks and Caicos, 20 to 30% chance. By Saturday, about a 40% chance of some scattered storms in the DR. Rain chance holding at a pretty low 20% chance today across Haiti. Belize, our rain chance will gradually go up some, about a 40% chance of some scattered showers by Saturday. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire in the short term will stay dry, but I want to watch these tropical waves. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that may increase the chance of rain some. We get back through Guyana, rain chance about 80% today, a 60% chance tomorrow. Suriname, about a 40 to 50% chance. Spotty showers and storms possible in Cuba. Be mindful of the lightning. Very high chance of rain with that flooding parts of Panama, and especially as we work our way back toward Costa Rica and southern Nicaragua, that's where we have a better chance of some of that rain. Honduras, rain chance about 40% for today, a 50% chance for tomorrow, and gradually building back some. Guatemala and El Salvador, a 60% chance the next 2 days across Mexico City, 20 to 30% chance across the Yucatan Peninsula, 40% chance in northern Colombia, 50% chance in northern Venezuela, but more inland, that's where we have that flood potential. And then you see in Bermuda by Saturday, that front gets closer. A rain chance will be a little bit higher. That front, though, eventually falling apart. So Tropical Storm Chantal possible near the southeast coast of the U.S. Either way, name or no name, that sloppy system, the Atlantic getting more active with stronger tropical waves, and keeping an eye on the Eastern Pacific where Gil is trying to form. Thank you for being part of this weather community. Have a really good day ahead.